Swivl Sessions, interviews with field service entrepreneurs. Get insights and strategies from those who took the leap and risked it all to start their own home service companies. The American dream can sometimes be a tired and overused cliche, but then you talk to people like our last guest, just an amazing, unbelievable success story. Adriano Redante, Limpia Cleaning. Rob, what do you got?
I loved this conversation, and I'll tell you why. It is like, you said it's the American dream. It is a classic American success story. He comes to this country as a young man with $200 in his pocket, can't speak a lick of English, goes to work at a restaurant, and then opens up a food truck, and just his escalating entrepreneurship is fantastic. So starts out with $200 and ends up with $1 million cleaning company. What more can you ask for? I love the story.
And it's also coming back to that theme of family. When you have a family that starts to do something, he's doing the restaurant and the food truck, and the wife starts the cleaning company. And then COVID happens, which we've heard before. He decides to go work with his wife, which can sometimes be a dangerous thing, but they made it work. And you talk about just an incredible success story with
tripled the size of the business in just a few years. And probably, that's a successful business and a successful family.
$200 and doesn't speak English to a successful business. Just an amazing story. Adriano Redante and Limpia Cleaning. Enjoy the show.
Enjoy.
Welcome back to Grit and Growth, brought to you by Swivl, where we love to shine a light on field service entrepreneurs. And when we do these conversations, we always like to come up with a theme word. And when you look at Limpia Cleaning Services in Philadelphia, overwhelmingly the theme word is family. What started out as a way for a mother to take care of her 3 kids has grown with the help of her husband into a thriving company with 14 employees. And we are lucky enough to have that husband I just mentioned and co-owner of Limpia Cleaning with us, Adriano Redante. Adriano, welcome to Grit and Growth. How are things in the city of brotherly love?
Thank you very much. Everything is good. Everything is good. The brother love sometimes miss a little love. You know how big cities are, right?
Yes, we do.
Everything else is good. Thanks God that the business is blooming.
That's awesome.
We really blessed.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Hey, Adriano, tell me this. I'd like to go back in time and just ask you about, entrepreneurs. We're not all born entrepreneurs, right? We developed into them oftentimes.
Yeah.
Tell us your story of what you were doing before you jumped into the world of entrepreneurship with Limpia Cleaning, or even like some other businesses if you had any.
Okay. If you want to start, I can start really long time ago.
Let's go.
Well, my dad, he had his own business in Brazil, where I'm from. So he had worked hard. As a matter of fact, he was born into an Italian family, and when he was 13 years old, he moved out of his house with his, he used to live with his parents. He moved out and moved to a different city when he was 13 years old. So yeah. And it was a larger city where he used to live at, because he was to live in a very countryside, in a farm, almost like a farm, small little city. He moved to a city that I would may compare like a farm city, and then you move to almost like a Philadelphia type, size of Philly. Was 13 years old back then. So that's when he started his almost like an entrepreneurship kind of mentality, because he has to live by himself, find a little room to rent. But anyway, so, and after working a different business, he opened up his own store. So that's what I say, where my entrepreneurship comes from. So I started working with him really early as well. Like I was 14 years old. Well, long story short, I had my own business, and the economic downturn hit Brazil around the 2000, 1998 to 99. I had my own business back then. Things went sideways, because the economics
Mhm.
was really bad. Economy was really, really bad in Brazil. So and then when I kind of decided, well, let's venture out somewhere else. I had an uncle who was living in the States back then. They said, well, let me move in with them, find out what's going on, make some money, go back to Brazil, learn English. That was my idea, learning English, go back to Brazil and teach English. So, and then all of a sudden I started making money. So the green paper makes me feel more enticed to stay in the United States. It was back in 2000. So I arrived in the United States with $200 in my pocket. No English, no papers back then, because I came as a tourist. So I want to, want to stay a little bit, learn English, and go back to Brazil. And then when the venture started, so I ended up meeting my wife. So back then I was, I worked with him for a while, and then I started working in restaurant industry. So I was a cook, and worked for a couple of years, got my papers. I decided to went out on my own. So I opened up a food truck, and little after that, I opened up my own restaurant. So then I was, getting old already. So I was, over, middle 40 years old, working like a 60, 70 hours a week. Say, oh man, this is getting tough. Yeah. So when my wife, she actually started her company in five ish. It wasn't actually a company; it was herself. And then she started growing, and then she started hiring some helpers. Right? She didn't have a company back then. Then, long story short, 2012 hit. I get a little bit more involved. We opened up a company, a Limpia Cleaning Company, in 2012, and but I was still working with her. So I kept working on my own business. But like I say, I was getting tired. In 2017, 18, I was really tired of working 40, 50, I mean, 50, 60 hours a week, and she was like, oh, Adriano, come on, work with me. Let's go. Okay. So 18, 2018. So I start walking away from the business, and 2020 happens, right? COVID
Yeah.
hit us. So that's when I say, okay, this is it. So I joined her for good on 2020, but I was home, right? So I was doing nothing because we are hanging out at home, doing nothing, doing some um, backyard work, growing some fruits and plants. That's
Nice.
pretty much when I'd say that's when Limpia Cleaning really started, because I start learning more about the business, adopting different systems and CRMs and advertising a little bit more. So I'd say there was three phases of Limpia Cleaning. When she started in 4 or 5, 2012, when it became a legit business, and 2020 when I start working on a business to grow as we did over this 5, 6 years.
And what were your strengths? So you were coming in. She was already had the business going. You think you brought more of a business mentality
Yes,
with her?
yes, exactly. Yeah, there was obviously some conflict with both of us, because she was working in a certain way that I had some disagreements with, because she was still on that mentality of picking up the employees, dropping off in the houses, picking up on the houses, dropping off in another house, and then dropping the employees off at their home. She was like more like a Uber type of thing. Yes, and I was, tired because we raised 3 kids, but most of the time she was doing this. She was going while I had my food truck. She was going to pick up the girls uh, early in the morning, drop them off in the afternoon while I was still in the restaurant or in the food truck. She would pick up the kids at daycare. It was a mess. And then I told her, listen, you got to stop with this thing. You're going to kill yourself. But that was she grew up with. She was really, really hands on. She want to keep cleaning, being with the girls all day long, kind of micromanage them, which is obviously it's a good thing in a certain way, but if you want to scale, you can't do that, right? That's the problem. So and then there was our conflicting time because they say, well, we're gonna start buying vehicles to the for the company, hire people that can drive and clean, and that's where I ended up doing it. And thanks God that because I came in with that mentality of transforming the business. We've been growing pretty steady. Obviously, the good thing about her that she ended up maintaining a lot of the customers that pretty
Yeah.
much started with her. We have
That's great.
customers that has been with us for 10, 12, 15 years,
Yeah.
you know.
It's awesome.
And those are kind of the customers that are a little bit hard to uh, change our way that we managed our company because they so used to have her cleaning, have
Mm.
it's hard to
Trust.
change exactly to change your habits. You know what I'm saying? But eventually a lot of the customers understood. Once in a while she's still going with the girls, but she'll just pay a visit, check it out, see if everything's good, and she dries off. But in certain, like I say, in certain ways good because we are maintaining this old customers, and it's hard to change the system when you are used to have it certain ways.
And when
Yeah,
you're married.
old
Say
dogs and
again?
new tricks, right?
Exactly. That's true.
I got to hand it to you. I know if I went into business with Christy, I'm not sure what would fall apart faster, the business or the marriage. So I think that a good separation that John knows my
We,
my wife, but
we love you, Christy.
I think maybe I'd be dead. She would kill me outright. But
Yeah.
Well, I got stabbed so many times that I got used to. It's like, wait, I want to divorce because you changed all these things. It's hard to kind of separate when
mm,
when your partner in business is your partner at home as well. So
Oh,
exactly,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right.
it's tough because even that you wanted to separate, you want to say, well, let me turn off the business side when I'm
Yeah.
home. It's very hard, especially when you run your business off of your house as well, because we just
Yeah.
built in our old garage, we built our office, our storage room, so everything is
Yeah.
All right.
That's
here.
awesome.
Yeah. So but it's not easy,
Well, success is never easy, but it seems
right.
like you're making it look like it a bit. So I like to ask this question to everyone that comes on here, and just because I'm not sure how much it pertains to you, because you were kind of an entrepreneur from almost at birth, but at least when you jumped over to work in Limpia cleaning, like you probably had expectations what it
Yeah.
would be like afterwards, right? Like maybe you weren't going to work as much because you were saying you're working 67 hours. You want to maybe peel it back a bit. I've found it quite interesting how people who have expectations before they start their businesses, how different those expectations are. And you've done it a few times now. So like, how do you roll with those expectations that aren't met, or when new hurdles are hitting you in the face?
Well, be honest. I'm a very ambitious person. To be honest with you, I always my expectation is always high. It's always
Yeah.
up there. I always want more. Uh, as a business person, I like to have everything organized, well run. Obviously, you get frustrated when you don't reach those expectations. As fast as you wanted to, but it's part of the business, right? So you always are looking for the a little bit more, you know little farther on the horizon, I would say, and so, well, that's what I want to go when you reach that point. So you're always gonna go a little bit further down, and always try to improve yourself, and that's what I am. I wanted to have this company running without me, pretty much make sure that everything is fine, everything is well organized. Yeah, that's pretty much, I believe, the entrepreneur are. And
I,
we always go a little
Yeah.
further.
I'll mention something that we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, And there's a couple common threads, but one in particular is this level of optimism that is I appreciate it, and I
Contagious.
think it's almost like you can't be an entrepreneur without having that level of
Op-
Optimism.
you got it. Yeah.
optimism, that level of optimism, and those expectations that may not always be met, but you're always gunning for it, aiming high and shooting low. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me roll
Especially
into
someone
yeah,
in my situation, because I came here with no English.
$200.
I didn't know nothing about the American culture, and along the way I had to learn English and Spanish at the same time because I
Be
was the only I was the only Portuguese speaker in
Portuguese. Yeah.
right in a restaurant that I used to work at, and all the other kitchen staff were pretty much Hispanic or Mexicans, and then I had to learn English because it seems like everybody that come in the kitchen look at me and say, "Well, you are the only non Hispanic or non Mexican looking guy in the kitchen and say, "Well, you must speak English." So they come speaking English to me and said, "I don't know, man. I've been here in the States for a couple months only. I don't know." And they say, "Oh, can you tell the guy, the other cook or the dishwasher, say, can you translate this into Spanish?" Dude, I don't even speak English properly either. So how do you expect me to translate in Spanish a language that I don't know either? And then I say it's hard at the beginning, but in the other hand, now I feel like wow, that was amazing how I pull it off so many challenges. That's what I when I feel like I gotta go through this hurdle and succeed. That's what I am.
Would you say, Adriano, one of the biggest hurdles that you had to keep revisiting sometimes are areas of the business that you have to keep for yourself and areas that your wife has to maintain? Was that one of the biggest things coming into it? Was learning what area to exist in?
Leading question.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's been a challenging, right? Because you sometimes, like I say, you want to do something, she wanted to do something different. Trying to balance out this disagreement. The way you run a business is challenging
I'll
because
bet you. I'm sorry.
it affects the family as well. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I respond your question
No,
properly.
perfectly.
I'll bet you though, over time, just like in any marriage, you find what you do well and what she does well, and it just kind of blends together to form
Right.
a better
Right.
union.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But let me ask you about your customer base, a little bit more about your business. So I think we read that you do residential, commercial, and construction cleanup. Is that right?
Yeah, we do a light post construction. It's not those heavy, construction clean out. It's more like when uh, the construction company finishes up the inside of the business, painting, rocking.
Yeah.
We do that. I'd say the final cleanup.
So they
That's
get all
it.
the
Not the
dust out of there, and
Yeah,
heavy
yeah.
yeah,
stuff, but it is still considering post construction, right?
yeah, yeah.
Or post renovation. Either or. Yeah, we do residential, which is she started to 95% of our customers are residential. five
Yeah.
percent is some commercials, and
Right.
within those commercials, we consider the light post construction.
So I was going to say, there's it really is kind of different businesses, and it takes a different operational mindset to get into those kinds of customers, right? Because you have accounts receivable now. I'm assuming your residential customers pay you on the spot.
Yeah, yeah. That's why we can sometimes work as a subs for this construction companies as well
Yeah.
because they pay net 30, net 45 sometimes, and so
Yeah,
luckily we have that cash flow coming in
right.
from the residential, so you can uh, um, pay us because
Yep, yep.
sometimes, like I say, it's net 30. We ended up getting our check like a 45, 60 days after we done cleaning. But that's a good thing that we have the commercial side of it,
Yep. Yep.
because I know a lot of
Uh,
the commercial cleaning business, they have a hard time, especially when they small, when they starting up, to have that money
mm-hmm.
up front to pay all the employees, all the expenses. That's
Yep.
that's tough. And thanks God that we always have this, good cash flow
Yep.
in order to wait for the money coming in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, your employees and your suppliers are not going to wait 45, 90 days for you to
No,
pay them, but so it can be capital intensive. I know that's a complaint that we hear often from people who service commercial accounts or
right, right.
property management companies that are doing that. So let me
Man,
ask you about your.
I get interrupted a little because this is becoming this guy is getting
uh,
from Chris right next to me. Hey, it's amazing. It's always peaceful here, and
It's
today
so you
I'm
sit
gonna have.
down.
we
But this is life, right?
it's
Life is not
100%.
life is not 100% perfect. Oh, this
That's
is this is our office.
It's nice.
all right.
Yeah, this is our office. That's where my wife, and
Look
that
at
was her
this.
birthday present. That was my
Yeah.
wife's birthday on last week. So
We wished
That's
you happy birthday by mistake, but it was meant for her.
I know. See, that was my wife. So
your
that's
LinkedIn
okay.
profile said it was your birthday. Whatever. Happy birthday anyway, and happy birthday to her.
Yeah.
So
I will pass on. Yeah.
we're talking about cash flows, so that kind of leads into my next question about revenue. So curious to know, in 2020, before you stepped in, do you mind sharing with us what the revenues were, like an annual revenue, compared to what it was, say, in the past 12 months?
Yeah, we are doing back then, around 300 a year, and now we, almost a meal.
Oh,
Fantastic.
wow,
Yeah, close,
it's
close to a
a
meal
hat
this
trick
year.
in a few years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
love it.
Yeah,
And that's all
yeah,
you think, just by applying some operational expertise, some systems.
yeah. I would say, systems in place. We are much more profitable right now than we were a couple years ago, because we keep maintaining and our overhead, a certain percentage. Yeah, I'd say, also I since I had more time also to go and look for different opportunities. That's what I did, and especially in the commercial area, whereas she never were much interested in it, because,
Yeah.
like I say, it would have been another hurdle on her,
Yeah.
because she was already busy with employees, with business, with kids. And then when I come in, I kind of freed up some time
Yeah.
on her, and also I had some extra time. I could find some different business opportunities.
We love as a software company when our guests throw out a term like CRM, and I heard you say that earlier. How did you come into the importance of technology in growing the businesses, and how's that going?
I mean, technology nowadays is, it's sad to say, but it's gonna be the number one priority pretty
Yeah.
soon. Because if you don't know what's the technology is, what's going on with the technology, we're gonna be behind. And I've been seeing a lot of changes, even in the industry that's mostly hands-on work. You have to have that technology in order even to communicate with the employees. You
Yeah.
you need a checklist for certain houses. Everything has to be on CRM. Whereas a couple years ago, you just send them out with a piece of paper, and this is your checklist.
Yep.
Go to do
Don't lose
what.
it. Don't lose it.
Right, right. So, and even on GPS, 10, 15 years ago, you're not much into the GPS
Yeah.
system, right? You didn't know.
Yep.
When I came to the States, I was driving all over the place with a map. You probably know. Remember the little map that you buy in
We
a gas
remember those
station?
days.
We
You
all
know,
we're old enough to know those days,
I
Adriano.
know, right? So, and nowadays you can drive around your house without a GPS, right?
I get lost.
It's so amazing, and we become dependent so much on the technology. But in the other hand, so you needed that technology because you
Yeah.
become efficient as well, right?
Yes.
Helps you grow.
Exactly, exactly.
How are you
And
when you are sending your employees out or you're sending invoices or estimates? Was there a certain CRM that you liked or that kind of fit you well?
I've been using one was developed by this Brazilian guy in. So he lives in the States, but his mom started off a cleaning company. He was a tech guy, so he
Mhm.
started, playing with some applications, and he built a little field management system. It's
Yeah.
not even CRM anymore, right? So they call field management system, right? Been doing it is okay, I'd say, to be telling you the truth, but it's still missing a couple other things, a couple of features that I really wanted to that field management system have. But that's why I'm looking for a different ones. How do you pronounce? I can't pronounce that.
Swivel.
Swivl.
Swivel. Okay.
Like a swivel chair, like you
Swivel.
swivel.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk to you more about that afterwards, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Maybe
pretty
just a bit.
interesting. Pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Adriano, tell me about the future of Limpia Cleaning. So, what are your goals for 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, and then what happens? Wanting to build it up and sell it to the employees. What does the future look like?
Well, this is one of the things I always tell my wife. I would not like to sell it. I would like to keep it. As long as I can handle, I can stay here. But on the hand, right? So we all get old. I don't
Yeah.
know if we're going to be able to to handle all the, the company. The future, I wanted to grow. That this is the thing. I almost 6 years old, but I still wanted to grow. I wanted to get involved. I wanted to be around this. It's something that I'm passionate about. I like to be on the day-to-day operations. I like to deal with the girls, with employees. Visit a customer here and there sometimes. Size-wise, I would say I would like to double the size within a year and a half. I would like to do, yeah, and perhaps triple the size within 4 to 5 years. You never know, but that's what I want. So when I double or triple the size, that's when there's time I might either franchise out or just stay as as we grow, stay with the business. And like I say, I don't know yet because I like to be around. I like to
Yeah.
be involved in the business. Selling maybe we never know. The
That's
money talks, like I say, money talks.
Rob can attest to that, Adriano.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think I love to hear, you know, entrepreneurs like you who aren't necessarily focused on the sale, but they're focused on what's important, that's growing. And I hear that a lot too. And hats off to you. That's a great way
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, Adriano, we could talk to you all day. We've covered a lot of ground, and you have one of
Yeah.
those stories that just it's the perfect success story, and we've loved hearing it. But before we cut you loose, we always like to talk to people about advice for future entrepreneurs. There are people that are going to be watching this or listening to it that have an idea that they just don't have the courage to manifest it, and we'd love to hear what advice you have for those people.
My advice is, regardless of what happened to you, keep going, keep pushing through. My story, it's a perfect story that there's nothing that comes in front of you you cannot bulge through. I came here with $200 in my pocket, no English, have no idea what's going on in the world. Pretty much, I mean, I know I couldn't understand the culture, but and I've been through different types of business, and all of them are hard. But even though, keep pushing and do what you got. If you love this business you're in, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep pushing. Life is not easy. Don't be like now I'm gonna now it's gonna get tough. Don't be like a lot of people say, oh, the Americans are entitled to, the no, don't feel that you're entitled. Never do it. Life is not easy, but like I said, keeping pushing through, man. If you wherever you come from, whenever, if you come from a rich family, poor family, whatever family, keep doing it. Keep doing it. No, be humble. Be humble. Always humble. If you're
That's
humble, life will give you a good lesson of success.
I think it's an embodiment of grit and grind,
Uh,
Tyson.
that was amazing. You single-handedly just
Grit and
talk,
growth.
talk about success, not just with the business, Adriano, but with your family too. It's just a very inspiring story. And
Yes.
for anyone in the Philadelphia metropolitan, I guess you do Delaware Valley too, all those areas, or no?
Yes, normally, yeah, we don't have a lot of customers there. We have a couple, but definitely if someone in Delaware Valley, call us, I would never say no.
Well, that's what we were about to say. We go if you're out there in the Philadelphia metropolitan area and you need top-notch cleaning services, do yourself a favor and call Adriano at Limpia Cleaning, and you can find their information right here. Put your finger up, Adriano, right there. Yeah. And you're not just going to be working with a true expert in the field, but you're going to be working with a family. And I think that is really the key to your success. Adriano Redante, thank you so much for being with us on, what is it, Rob?
Grit and growth.
Grit and growth. We're changing the name. We're changing the name a little bit, but on Grit and Growth. But so wonderful hearing about all the success you've had with your business, and we really appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Absolutely.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Adriano.
I loved it. Really appreciate it.
Rob, I don't get you much.
That's a wrap. Thanks for listening or watching. Swivl's field service software is everything you need to run your field service business for free. Till next time, check us out at swivl.tech. That's SWIVL.tech.